Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Koremako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, I know when it comes to mana, ihi, wehi, this wāhine toa has it in spades. Not only does she hold the world record, that's right, I know, world record for the heaviest bench press ever by any woman, but she is also the New Zealand and Oceania arm wrestling champion. I am a tad excited, I won't lie, to kōrero with her on the show. No mai hara mai, Ashleigh Hoeta-Williamson. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Hey, awesome to have you on the show, Ashleigh. I'm really excited to have a kōrero with you today. But before we get started, ko wai koe no he koe, a bit about yourself and where you're from.
So I am Ashleigh Hoeta-Williamson. I am 28 years old, mum of two who grew up in Waitara, and I am now living in Hamilton.
Oh, kia ora. Another Waitara person, eh? There's some pretty amazing people from Waitara in the sporting realm. So, hey, it's awesome to have you here, Ashleigh. Tell us a little bit about you as a youngster. So was it always kind of like powerlifting and stuff like that, or were there other sports that you were involved with? I had heard that you might have been into gymnastics. Is that right?
Yes. So from the age of 4, I did gymnastics. And then by the age of 15, I was representing New Zealand for gymnastics. My goal back then was to go to the Commonwealth Games, but unfortunately, due to injury, I ended up having to retire. Yeah, so I was pretty much training 5-6 days a week, 3 hours at a time. So it's pretty much just school, gymnastics. That was my childhood.
Wow. So that's quite a cool little mix there, eh? So you're obviously doing gymnastics when you were younger, but what got you into the kind of powerlifting kind of game, and what was it that attracted you to that sport?
So before I actually started, my dad had always told me to do it. He's like, I know you're strong. I think you can do it. And I'd always seen powerlifting, like men do it. And I always thought I needed to do like a woman type of sport. But Dad just kept pushing me and pushing me. And so in 2019, I just entered a competition last minute. And I happened to win that competition. And so as I walked up to get my gold medal, I turned back around and my dad was actually emotional. And we'd just found out that my dad had become terminally ill. And it was the emotions and everything in that moment where I was like, I am going to take this sport to the top of New Zealand while he's still around. So, yeah, that was kind of what got me into it, was just seeing his love for it and doing it on his behalf.
That's awesome. And I'm sure he'd be really, really proud. So the beauty of that, like obviously, you know, trying different codes, it's something that I kind of encourage for some of the young rugby league players I coach, but various codes. So gymnastics and then powerlifting, what an awesome mix. So both sports would have contributed, you know, in terms of where you're at now, do you think?
100%. Like even with the arm wrestling, because I was doing gymnastics so young, all of the tendons and stuff in my arms and in my legs, they held that muscle memory. So then transferring that over to powerlifting was really, really easy because my body was already kind of used to just throwing myself around. So powerlifting came really easy to me. It was just initially making those big jumps to those records.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What a cool mix. Now you have had a couple of moments that have really changed you in your life. You had a stroke, I believe, back in 2020 that you have had to work to come back through, and obviously the loss of your papa in 2023. So how hard was this time for you, and what did you learn from these tough times?
So when I had the stroke in 2020, it was really like, it was in 3 stages, and it was the same when Dad died as well. It was kind of accept what has happened, kind of get used to that, you know, you've gone back a few steps and then keep going. I feel like I'm always going to do it in those 3 steps in life to keep getting ahead. But it was back then it was really hard. Being in those moments, having to kind of rehabilitate to get stronger And then, yeah, with Dad passing away, it was just like a numbness, really, because end of the day, I was training for a world record, and I promised him that I would attempt it. And yeah, I guess just doing those 3 stages throughout life just helps me keep going.
Well, it's inspirational to see you kind of bounce back from those things, Ashleigh, and do what you're doing. I knew your dad really well, and he was a great man, so I know he'd be very proud of you. Now, in 2023, not long after your dad passed, you bench pressed 317.5 kilos to smash the women's world record by over 20 kilos. Like, I find this really hard to believe because I'm struggling to push 100. So tell us about that, like that whole experience.
Oh, the lead up to it was very hectic. Like the prep for it was going so well. And then obviously we knew Dad was terminally ill, but 3 weeks out, he actually did pass away. And it was the fact of just having to numb it out, get straight back to training, continue the prep. The day of the competition, there were no nerves because like I always put so much pressure on myself when Dad was alive. So I knew that since he'd gone, it was just do what you can. But there were no nerves. I was really excited to just give it a go. Our aim was originally to do 305 kgs, and that was on my second attempt. I got it. All the emotions started to come out. My family were there, so I kind of ran up to them, hugging them. And my coach was like, right, get those tears out. We're going for a third attempt, 700 pounds. I was tired. I was happy enough with the 305, but he goes, nope, we're going to top it up. I think you can do it. So yeah, third attempt, 700 pounds. It flew up. And then I finally got to just let everything out after. But it still hasn't clicked for me. Like it's been over a year now. I don't think it will ever click in my head that that's happened.
That's honestly, that is phenomenal. I was talking to my kids about it the other day. I was saying, I'm going to be interviewing Ashleigh, and you're not going to believe how much she missed. And we were like, whoa, that's crazy. So, man, that's well done with that. It's so cool to know that one of our owners has that world record. So now arm wrestling is another thing that you've been into also, or you've recently got into. Why arm wrestling? How did all this happen?
So back in 2021, when I became the top female powerlifter in New Zealand, a week after, one of my best friends, his name is Mate Iwarangi Heta-Morris, he invited all of us to kind of go over and watch him at a comp. He's I think it's the 12-time national champ for men. And I saw him do it and I was like, I think I could do that as well. So then a year after that, I went up against the 7-time New Zealand women's champ for arm wrestling and beat her. But then it was kind of like I needed to keep going with powerlifting. So I was kind of just doing it for fun. But this year I really took it seriously. I went over to, where did I go this year? I went over to Sydney and I became the Oceania women's champ for it. And then I just went over to Australia. I went to Adelaide in October and faced the #1 Australian woman over there and became the Trans-Tasman Women's Champ. So now the trifecta of titles, and hopefully we go more overseas next year to kind of get a gauge of where I'm at in the world rankings.
That's unreal. So I think it was, is it Ngareta Barbarich was the lady that you arm wrestled against? She's supposed to be pretty good too. That would have been a bit of a challenge for you, but you got there.
Yep, 100%.
That's cool. Now I hear you and your sister were going to compete in the East-West arm wrestling tournament in Turkey. Is that right? Did you end up getting over to that tournament?
Yep. So when I became the Oceania Women's Champ in Sydney, we then qualified to go over to Turkey. She ended up pulling out. Like, she'd only been doing it for 4 months then. And we went over to Turkey and she's like, no, I would like to watch. And I'm like, fair enough. It's pretty hectic going from training with your sister to winning over in Australia to then going to Turkey. But yeah, I placed first on my left arm and I placed third on my right. The woman who actually beat me, she's been doing it for 30 years, which is crazy because she's been doing it longer than I've been alive. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's so cool. What an experience. And so is there world titles up for grabs in Dubai? Is that right? Or is there something on the horizon for you in terms of going for the worlds?
Yeah, so we're looking at possibly getting a match with a woman called Sarah Beckman. Sarah Beckman has been in the sport for years. She's very well known to everyone around the world. We kind of want to get that match to kind of see where I'm at. I guess if I was to win, to push further on to the top 3 ranked woman in the world. But yeah, that for now, or else Worlds will be in 2026 because I've actually gone back to bench because I'll be re-breaking that in Melbourne in March.
Wow, what a busy schedule. All right.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So cool. Awesome. Now, on top of that, you're also a mama. You're a mama of 2 and you've achieved so much already. So what else is on the horizon for Ashleigh Hoeta-Williamson? What else do you want to achieve?
There's so much. I have my eyes on prepping for weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting. I want to get to the Olympics or the Commonwealths. I don't care what sport it is. That's always been a goal of mine. So we're kind of in preparation for that, real low key. I guess after I do have a really good go with arm wrestling. The other sport I want to try is strongman. That's also like the big carrying the rocks and pulling trucks and stuff like that. Yeah, I want to give everything a go, really. And then, yeah, I don't actually know what's next after that.
That's awesome. You got a lot on your plate already, so keep trucking along. I think that's amazing what you're doing. So lastly, you have a different mindset to when you began your journey. So what mindset shift have you made as you've progressed, and what advice would you share with any aspiring young athletes out there wanting to pursue their dreams and push their chosen sport?
Oh, don't let anything stop you from achieving your dreams. Set very realistic goals. None of this, I want to be able to lift 500 kgs in a day. Very, very realistic goals, weekly goals, daily goals. I'm very much organized in that kind of concept, and enjoy it. Very much enjoy the journey that you're on, because if you're not, what are you doing it for?
100%, 100%. Awesome advice there, whānau. Well, Ashleigh, your story is nothing short of amazing. To see you push through setbacks and continuously rise above by honouring the words you left your dad is an absolute inspiration. It's still hard to believe that right here in Taranaki we have a world champion wāhine toa that has the strength and mana that you have. But from all of us here in Taranaki, we're extremely proud of you. And we can't wait to see what's next on the horizon for you.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to have you on the show, Ashleigh.
Thank you.